कुछ ना जानूं मैं.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yazanani Edina. So today I will present about definition of inflation. Inflation is a rate at which the general of price of a good and services increase over time, leading to a decrease in the purchasing power of money. In other words, when inflation occurs, each ringgit buys fewer goods and services than before. For the forecast of 1.5% to 2.3% inflation in Malaysia for 2035 means that the overall prices of goods and services in the country are expected to increase moderately by between 1.5% to and 2.3% compared to the previous year. This suggests that Malaysia will experience low and stable inflation, indicating controlled price growth and a manageable cost of living. It also shows that Bank Negara Malaysia expect no major price shocks in 2035, supporting economic stability and consumer confidence.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmed Haikal Fakin bin Saidun Azhar. I'm from DBIT 3B. So, my answer for questions number 2 is, when inflation is low, it shows that prices in Malaysia are quite stable. So, Bank Negara Malaysia doesn't have to worry about price going up too fast. Because of that, the central bank can safely reduce the interest rate to support the economy. From the article, Malaysia inflation is expected to stay between 1.5 and 2.3% in 2025, and that's quite slow. That's why BNM decided to lower the overnight policy rate to 2.75% to make borrowing cheaper and encourage people and businesses to spend and invest more. When more people spend and companies invest, it helps boost the country's economic growth, especially when global trade is uncertain. So the low inflation gives BNM the chance to cut interest rate as a way to keep Malaysian economy active and strong.
Hi, my name is Fatin Nordin Azana. I'm from DB3B. Today, I want to discuss about my question number 3. So the question is, discuss how a lower inflation rate affects to A. Consumer purchasing power, B. Business investment decisions, C. Government fiscal policy. So let's start with A. Consumer purchasing power. So the consumer purchasing power, as per Negara Malaysia project, that inflation will be between 1.5% and 2.3%. The cost of living will rise gradually while price for goods and service remain relatively stable because they can buy more with the same amount of money. Customer purchasing power rise. So stable price also help household make better spending and saving plans. Also, low inflation encourage greater domestic spending and increase consumer confidence, both of which support economic growth. For example, if the price of basic goods like food or transportation doesn't rise too much, families can save more money or use it for another goods and service. So the second one is business investment decisions. A lower and stable inflation rate gives business more confidence to plan long-term projects because input costs such as materials, wage and interest rate stay the same. However, excessively low inflation might be a sign of weak demand, which could reduce expectation for profits and discourage investments in some industries. By lowering interest rates to 2.05%, Bank Negara Malaysia has made borrowing more affordable, which can encourage business to expand or make new investment. For example, reduce risks in borrowing costs, which could encourage more investment in the ICT and manufacturing sectors. So the last one is government fiscal policies. Because prices are stable when inflation is low, the government is less pressured to increase subsidies or cash back. The government may still continue to give exposed groups targeted aid in order to sustain domestic demand. Additionally, low inflation promotes sustainable fiscal policy and budget disciplines. The government can reduce expenditure on price control programs and concentrate on long-term development initiatives like digitization or infrastructure. For instance, the government could spend more on education and technology, also give targeted advertising over general fuel subsidies in order to boost productivity.
Assalamualaikum. I'm D from DMK3A. For the answer question 4 is, therefore Bank Negara Malaysia predict that our inflation rate will remain low in 2025, ranging from 1.5% to 2.3%. Price don't increase as quickly when inflation is stable, so the government should evaluate whether cash handouts and subsidies are still required. Sustained subsidies may still be beneficial in the near future, particularly for the B40 group. It supports consumer spending, preserves the purchasing power, and keeps the economy afloat. Additionally, it keeps the cost of living from rising suddenly, which is crucial for social stability. However, issues may arise if the government keeps providing subsidies for an extended period of time. It will reduce funds that could be used for development projects, disturb market price, and increase government spending. Occasionally, instead of adjusting to the market, people may also grow overly reliant on government assistance. The circumstance may eventually result in a budget deficit and have an impact on Malaysia's economic expansion. For this reason, the government ought to begin cutting back on general subsidies and concentrate more on providing assistance to those who actually need it. Simultaneously, the money saved by fewer subsidies can be utilized to fund infrastructure, healthcare, and education, all of which benefit the nation in the long run. Therefore, subsidies continue to be helpful in the short term to support people and preserve stability. However, Malaysia should eventually adopt focused and long-lasting policies to boost our economy and preserve fiscal stability.